Okay, folks, look, bruh is back. Now, it kind of had a rocky start, and I'm not referring to the episode, more so the circumstances with BET Plus. So, last night, I was awake 3 a.m. when the episodes were first dropped on the streaming platform. Now, for whatever reason, every time I clicked on episode 1 or 2, it would say, sorry, the video is not available. I tried the BET Plus app on my phone and TV, and it still wouldn't work. I tried Prime Video, and it still wouldn't work. Went to sleep, woke up, same issue. I woke up to a bunch of people saying, yo, Jeremy, I see the episodes are up, but I can't play them. And well, it wasn't until like 2:30 or 3 p.m. in the afternoon when the episodes were working. So BET Plus, please don't let this happen next week, because there wasn't any sort of announcement or anything, or, a tweet saying, oh, we're sorry about the maintenance issue. We're working on it right now. Because I could bet you my bottom dollar that if it was Zatima or All the Queen's Men, the episodes would have been working just fine. I believe people were also trying to watch The Family Business and ran into the same issue. So again, BET Plus, please recognize this issue and prevent it from happening next week. But I guess I'll do 2 separate videos, even though I should honestly just do one, because this will be rather short. But I enjoyed the episodes. Remember that season 4 is written by different writers. I believe it's 4 different writers, as opposed to it just being Tyler Perry. And in terms of, just like the plot and everything, I think this was a decent start to the season. I believe it was entitled A Fresh Start, which again, definitely felt like the theme of this episode. This was an episode that I feel was kind of a palate cleanser or a refresher. I feel like that's the more appropriate term, because bruh, if I'm not mistaken, it's been off for over a year at this point. And a lot of people have forgotten where we left off, and I can't blame them. The last scene was Tom, Bill, and John signing the paperwork so Mike will be taken into rehab. And I believe about a couple of weeks have passed, 2 to 3 weeks have passed since he got taken away, since he's been starting his treatments, and things seem to be going rather well. It's like, it's still a subject that he really doesn't want to talk about, but at the same time, Mike is definitely in better spirits compared to how he ended off season 3. And in terms of Pam, I think I have more to say about her in my episode 2 review as opposed to episode 1. But essentially, Mike, opens the episode with a bit of a monologue in regards to what it means to be bros and things like that. And during the monologue, we see the other guys, minus Greg, getting ready for a night out together. And then, Pam kind of interrupts Mike like, yeah, I know what friendships and connections are like, Mike. Like, why are you explaining this to me? Basically, it's his long-winded way of saying, hey, it's a boys' night. Can I go out with the fellas? And Pam, is a bit worried. He's like, hey, I mean, I'm not like the domineering girlfriend or anything. Like, if you want a boys' night out, go do it. But where are you going to be? Because, since you're in rehab, I don't want you to be in a situation where there's temptation in regards to like alcohol and other potential substances he could abuse, because, going through rehab, it wouldn't be best to be in a situation like that. I do like that callback, because Tom was worried about the same thing when Mike started going to rehab, and he was like, hey man, are you sure it's a good idea to have like a bottle of wine on top of your fridge? And Mike is like, no. It's like, I'm not going to drink it, but it's there to be like a test of strength and will. Like, can I leave the bottle on the fridge without drinking it? That kind of thing. And Pam was just worried about it being like a slippery slope. But from there, he actually does convince Pam to go out with him with the guys. She's reluctant at first, but agrees to go. And after the guys get together, we get a bit of updates as to what's going on. Apparently, Bill and Regina are separated. John isn't worried about being at the establishment that Lydia works at, because she's apparently off for the night. and Pam shows up with Mike, but it's kind of an awkward tension between her and Bill for good reason, because her best friend and Bill are on, the outs right now. And she actually does leave because she doesn't want to be a buzzkill on a night for the guys. But basically, she tells Mike she's going home, but in reality, she actually lied because she went out to dinner with Regina. And, we get a subtle nod to her being pregnant by saying, oh, I don't want anything to drink alcohol related. I'll just take a water. And, that relates to the ending of the episode. Now, from there, Pam is unsure about her future with Mike in regards to, hey, there was a time where I thought me and Mike, would be together, jump in the broom and everything. And she's unsure about that due to the whole circumstances of his, addiction and then the rehab thing. And she doesn't really know if her future with Mike is as plausible as she once thought it was. Now, from there, it's just a matter of like the broken trust due to the fact that he had been lying to her. But I don't know. I feel like it is a bit forced, but then I think back to season 3 and, all the hell that Mike put Pam through, and the fact that, if I remember correctly, hey, and if any of the broadcasts are watching this, first of all, thank you, because, it does mean a lot. Make sure that you please correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but didn't Pam, when she was sitting outside of the bathroom door while Mike was in the bathroom getting high, talk about how her dad OD'd when she was a kid, and that kind of haunted her ever since, and she doesn't want Mike to go through the same thing, and it's traumatizing. And then you look at how he treated her in the finale, and that was rough. And yeah, if I'm not mistaken, Pam was at the apartment when he OD'd, and Greg and John were there, and then she had to step away because, she just couldn't take it anymore. So yeah, I remember Mike just being a complete ass to Pam, and then Pam went off on everybody and then left the hospital. Yeah, that's right. Oh man. Yeah. So I can definitely see Pam's point of view there, but it just seems to me like, I wonder how Mike's going to take this. And like I said, I'll save the rest of my thoughts on this as we go into the next episode review. But let's see. Over at the bar or restaurant where the guys are hanging out, there's a girl named Tasha looking fine as I don't know what in that red dress. John wants to run a game like they used to do in college where Bill pretends to be his assistant. So he goes over there first and kind of warms Tasha up. But John is looking like, wait a minute. Because Mike and Tom are like, I don't know. They look a bit too touchy-feeling to me. Like, John, I think you ought to just sit this one out. I think Bill's, running his own game. But John steps in, plays the assistant card of being boss to Rich. Well, not Rich. See, dang it. See, y'all getting me messed up. It's like, Jeremy, how is Rich and Bruh, but then he's in Sistas? They're different characters. Now y'all got me confused. Same actor, different characters. But basically, John goes up to Bill and, pretends to be the boss and, crack some jokes at his expense. Also, I got to say, props to Barry in these 2 episodes. I think that this is some of the best John material we've had, because typically in the previous seasons when John would, go on his comedic moments where he would like fire off a bunch of jokes, it's like he'll pull a Kevin Hart, if you will, and like try to tell like 20 jokes in 10 seconds and maybe only 2 or 3 land. But for the most part, I think that John's, comedic timing as well as the dialogue, very well done in these first 2 episodes. I actually got several chuckles, and I mean it. They were really good. But basically, things are going in his favor while he's pretending to, be someone very successful making money off crypto. Even though I think Tom had one of my favorite lines in the episode, spell crypto. I'm like, damn, like you ain't had to do John like that. But in any case, as John is, just making things work in his favor with Tasha, Bill is like, hey, John, better look out, because Lydia actually comes in to work and, goes off on John and threatens Tasha. And then she gets up and, walks away. And then Bill takes her to the side and gets her phone number. But it's funny because Lydia has some very profound advice for John as to what his problem is, which is funny because she's actually the one who's delusional and can't take a hint about him not being interested. But here's the thing, though. She basically tells him about how he's unwilling to commit to get what he wants. And it's just like, well, it's good advice, but from the wrong person. But I guess you could argue that Lydia is what he wanted, but he didn't want to quote unquote step up to be with her. But if you look at season 3 and everything she brought to the table in terms of the craziness and whatnot and trying to have his baby, it's like way too quickly. Things were moving way too quickly. However, if this let me say this. If this was Lydia's final episode, then I'm actually glad she came back, because I feel like the writers could have easily just written her out of the show after last season. But that was one of my complaints about the shift from seasons 1 to 2, where you had some interesting like B characters who were connected to the main cast, like a Charlie, the girl contractor who was helping John, Valerie from the hospital and her connection to Tom, then the nurse who was, or not the nurse, but the wife of the police officer who was abusive that Tom was trying to help. Yet as soon as we get to the first episode of season 2, that entire storyline is written out, even though that was the cliffhanger of season 1. So I do applaud the fact that Natalie was brought back to kind of give a final send off of her character. Like, I could be wrong in terms of this being her final episode, but if this was her final episode, I'm glad they brought her back just to kind of close the book on the John storyline. But at the same time, the advice she gave him was actually key advice in terms of moving forward in his life by kind of leveling up, like, focusing and applying himself to do better and to, hey, like, and I feel like I'm dipping in my toe into episode 2 already, but receive the blessings that come his way, but realize that he has to be ready once a good thing is in front of him. That's the best way to put it. So actually, Greg shows up, and it's kind of awkward because John brings up the whole thing with Officer Grills, and Greg isn't really trying to talk about it. And that, conversation just chases him away because he doesn't want to discuss the situation. Now, it goes into the whole thing about this being like a recap episode, because he briefly mentioned, like, yeah, hey, she helped me move into the apartment with Tom when I first got into town. We hung out a few times, but ain't nothing going on between us. Even though that contradicts episode 2. But like I said, I'll get to that in a separate review. But yeah, Greg shows up and leaves as soon as he came. But Mike officers give him a ride. Tom leaves as well. Then it's just Bill and John chilling and taking shots. But he gets a text message saying he's about to get out of here, because earlier in the episode when the guys arrive at the bar, he mentions, like, Lady C, aka Claudia, there was something going on between them, but it's cool now. It's kind of weird because you got Bill and you have Greg both stating that, oh, the women we were dealing with last season, we're no longer talking to them now, even though they both lie, because after leaving the bar, Bill goes back to his place and Claudia shows up. But before leaving, he mentions to John that he's worried about Mike being too focused on Pam. It's like, you're too attached. He's like, he's too attached to her. He's like, he's not acting like himself. But then John brings up the fact, like, hey man, just because, marriage and whatnot wasn't for you and Regina doesn't mean that Mike won't work things out with Pam. So, Bill does say, hey man, you talking about me? Like, what about you? Just the Lydia thing and whatnot. You need to, get yourself together, move out your mama's house and whatnot, and get yourself a, new ride, that kind of stuff. And I can officially say, since Bruh came out, I'm out of my mama's house. I got my own house. Ha! But I'm not dating because, I'm busy doing this stuff. Yeah. But in any case, when Bill goes over to his place, because I think he lied to John saying that Tasha was the one that texted him. Claudia comes in and they start going at it. Bow, chicka, wow, wow. And Bill's like, hey, can't we just talk for a little bit? No, you too much talking. I'm thinking to myself, Bill, with as fine as Claudia is, let your lips do the talking. And I'm not talking about vocally. But it turns out that after they're about to get busy, it's like, getting turned on by this, right? My violent husband can come in here any minute. He's like, yeah. And then knock on the door and then he turns to a punk. So Claudia goes to the bed and Bill goes to the door and it's Regina who wants to come in and talk. And Bill's like, no, you got to go. Oh, you got another woman up in here, huh? And then she ends the episode by stating she's pregnant, and that's the end of the episode. So, fresh start. I give it a 6 out of 10. Hey, 6 isn't meant to be a low score. This was just a decent start to the season. Enough said. Wait till we get to episode 2 because I have a lot more to say about that. But yeah, this episode, great way to kind of pick up where we left off. Mini time skip. It wasn't a 3-month time skip like Sistas was in between seasons. This was like, 2 to 3 weeks tops. And yeah, that's about it. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Like and subscribe. And this was what, 20? Yeah, both episodes were 28 minutes long. So I feel like they did a lot for the time that they had to work with. So make sure you tune in to episode 2. That review's coming at the same time as this one. But please, please comment, thumbs up the video, because the more engagement these videos get, the more inclined I am to do episodes 3 through 10, because we get 2 episodes each week between now and August 15th. All right, so that's all I got. I'll catch you in the next one.